Okay, let's. Alright, welcome back everyone. I'm teacher Nathan from Writers at Work. This afternoon, let's take a look at this SCGS Prelim paper from 2021. Okay, so let's start with some grammar questions first. So question 1 here. The newscaster announced that cleaners would see their wages go up each year, dash over 6 years. So over here, we're interested in prepositions. So let's take a look at some keywords that we will need to remember. First, 6 years and wages go up. So we are looking at this increment over a period of time. Now looking at the options, into means that you are moving, refers to a movement such that something is enclosed. So if I say put the piece of cake into the fridge, so the piece of cake on the plate will be surrounded by the cold of the four corners of the fridge, and you'll keep it cold. Over means you're looking at a particular time period where something is going to happen. Hello Kurumi, this is Primary 6 SCGS paper Prelim from 2021. Okay, Primary 6, our friend Kurumi, I hope this helps. Okay, so that's for question 1, option 2. Option 3, when you talk about towards, you are referring to a direction. So I'm going towards the hospital, that means my direction is as such. And lastly, when you talk about beneath, you are looking at position. Beneath the table. Okay, so for this case, we are looking at a period of time. The answer should be number 2, over. Alright. Okay, moving on, let's take a look at question 2. Muthu's completed his homework, dash, asked Mrs. Devi. So over here, we are interested in a question tag kind of question. The first thing we take note is Muthu's. So this over here means Muthu is or Muthu has. So if we look at our options, won't and doesn't will be out because they are not even part of this first part of my question tag. Okay, next thing we observe is completed. So we need to ask ourselves, does it pair with completed? The answer is no. Needs to be paired with completing. Has can be paired with completed. Okay, like that. So we may ask, what's the difference? Well, let me just share with you. Is completing here is in present continuous form, which basically shows an action that is ongoing as you speak. Has completed here means is in the present perfect form. And it shows that my action is completed, but effect still felt. Okay, so let's go back to the question again. I'm looking at completed. So you need to be very aware of my verb here. Such it should be has completed. So this will be Muthu has. Has completed is in the positive connotation, and I need the negative connotation at the back, which would be number 3. Hasn't he? Alright. Alright, let's go on further. Question 3 now. Kelly could see the fight from the bookshop, but she did not see Dash attempting to help the victim. So we are looking over here at pronouns, and the first keyword that we have is did not see, which means that there is 0 human beings. So we will choose nobody because no here shows 0. Alright. Now the rest of the options actually highlight that there are people who exist. When you have everyone, this one needs to be in the singular form. Right. Next is anybody. This one is no specific human that we're looking at, and somebody we're just looking at a few people. All right. All right. Let's go on to question 4 now. $30 dash too much to pay for the shirt. I will not buy it, said James. So over here, we're interested in subject-verb agreement. The first thing we observe is $30. So we are interested in the amount of money. We're not interested in how much is it, but we're just interested by the very fact that it's an amount. Alright, and therefore this is singular. Now you can see I will not buy it. So this is already a future tense. Will is a future event. Therefore, we will use present tense. So if we think of it, singular, present tense, these 2 points us to only one answer. Number 1 is $30 is too much. Alright. Alright. Let's move on. Question 5. Amina was the girl who witnessed the man dash the purse from the store. So over here we are interested in tenses. Now first thing we observe is the word witness and the second blank, the blank here. So witness is actually a verb. It's an action that Amina did. Next, the blank here is also another verb. Then this verb is related to the man, something the man did. So when we have 2 verbs, we need to apply the rule called the verbs of perception rule. So how does this rule work? When I have 2 verbs, my second verb needs to be in the base form, which means present tense and plural form. So if we look at our options, the only option that allows us to choose will be number 2, still. Okay, stole here is in past tense, while steals, this is present tense and singular. Was stealing, this is past continuous. This means that my action was continuing sometime in the past. For example, the boy was stealing the toy at the toy shop yesterday evening. So it's an event that occurred sometime in the past, but it's not really specific as to at 6 p.m., 9 p.m., or 11 p.m. Alright? That's when we use past continuous. But because we are interested in verbs of perception here, I only look at present and plural form. Alright, we have come to the end of this first part. I'll just give everyone some time to take in the information before I move on. Alright, let's move on to question 6. Participation in high element activities by the students dash parental consent. Okay. Okay, so over here we're interested in tenses again. Okay. And the first thing that we're interested in is this word participation. Because we are not interested in the activities, but rather the act of signing yourself up for these activities. So this is singular. Okay, and you can see that this whole sentence here is a fact. It's something that exists in real life. If you want to go for high element activities, you will need to seek your parents' approval. Because you guys are considered young, you're under a particular age. Alright, so let's take a look at, so because it's a fact, you'll always be in the present tense. Alright, so let's take a look at some of the options given to us. Requires here is singular and also in present tense. Require and requires both are present tense. Okay, maybe I'll do it this way. Both are present tense, just that requires is singular. Require here is plural. Alright, next is requiring and are requiring. These two are also the same. They are in the same tense. They are in the present continuous form, which means that my action is ongoing as I speak. Alright, so you can see that this participation in the activities probably hasn't even started yet, because the parents need to approve the form or some letter first, right? So in that sense, we will not consider option 3 and 4. Therefore, we are only looking at the first two, and because it's singular, we will need to use requires with the S. All right. Okay, now look at question 7. Mrs. Lim was surprised that her husband blurted out about the surprise birthday party to their daughter. Dash they had agreed to keep it a secret from her. So over here, we are interested in conjunctions. These are basically your linking words to connect different pieces of information in the same sentence. So the first thing we observe is here. Blurted out the surprise birthday party. And they keep it a secret. So you can see that there's a kind of contrast. So this first fact is shocking. And why is it shocking? They give you a reason here. They kept it. They want to keep it a secret, but people, or in this case, the husband told people the secret. Okay, I have an answer from Puyo. Yep, correct. The answer here is number 2. Because since is used to show for that reason. Alright, now, unless here is used to show criteria, I will not go for the birthday party celebration unless sister comes along. So you can see there's a particular factor that needs to play out in order for something to happen. Now, looking at the other options, option 1, until means up to a point in time. While whether means one or more, they are used to show to express uncertainty. All right. So, for example, whether or not brother would participate in the competition depends on his selection test. Okay, moving on to question 8 now. As in that live from a period more things.
Yeah. Okay. Teaching O level, right?
Huh? No. This is SCGS P6 Prelim 2021.
P6 Prelim.
Yes. 21. Okay, thank you. Okay. Alright, so looking at question 8 now. Okay, maybe we just give some time for our friends to join us before we look further into the question. Alright, welcome back everyone. Come, let's take a look at question 8 now. So over here, the question reads, 2 trains carrying hundreds of passengers dash in the city, killing 19 people, declared the reporter. So over here, we are interested in a tenses question. And we are looking at some keywords. Declared the reporter. So it tells you that this is in the past tense. Alright. Next, we observe some of the options given to us. Alright. Is and are colliding. These two options are in the present continuous tense, which means that the action is ongoing as I speak. Which isn't the case when we read the question, because the reporter can only report something that has already occurred, not something that is ongoing as she speaks. Now, looking at the other two, has and have collided. These two are in the present perfect tense, which actually means that my action is completed, but effect still felt. Alright, so in this sense, we are looking at something that's already been done, something that has already happened. So this will be more suitable. But you see, we are looking at 2 trains. So this is a plural subject. As such, we will be using at number 4, have collided. Alright, so let's go on to question 9. The Bala family tidied their house swiftly as their guests dashed in 30 minutes time. Okay, so for this question here, we are once again interested in my tenses. Okay, and we are looking at a few things. First, 30 minutes time. So we are looking at something that hasn't occurred yet, but would be happening. So I'll just indicate here that is in the future. Now let's take a look at some of the options given to us. The first one is arrive. So this is present tense and plural. Okay, I have an option from CNNW. You mean option 3? There's no option C here. Have arrived here is present perfect. This means that my action is completed, but the effect is still felt. Okay, I'll not elaborate further. It's been talked about quite a few times, at least twice this lesson for the past 8 questions. Would be arriving tells me of a future event, but preparation is ongoing. Alright, and lastly, had been arriving. This is known as the past perfect continuous tense, which means that my action is ongoing in the past. When second action took place. As such, if we look closely at this question, you can see that the Bala family is tidying their house. So this preparation is ongoing, and this is because of a future event that they are preparing for. As such, we'll be looking at option number 3 as our answer. Okay. Okay, moving on. Let's take a look at question 10. The year-end Southeast Asian Games in Vietnam may be postponed. Dash a worrying surge of COVID-19 cases in the region. Okay, so for this question here, we are interested in conjunctions. Alright. Now, the first thing that we observe here is this thing. So this is an ongoing situation, right? Where there are COVID cases, and this will affect this SEA Games, Southeast Asian Games. So as such, we are looking at this ongoing situation affecting my event. So I'm going to look at option number 1 because this shows ongoing action. Since here refers to a time in the past till present. Alright. Despite is used to show contrast, and beyond, we are looking at a further side of something. For example, it is beyond our wildest dreams. That means you have some expectations even when you dream. Beyond these dreams, that means it's far, far greater. Far, far something that you did not expect. Alright? Okay, with that, we have come to the end of this grammar section. I'll just give everyone some time to take in the information here before we move on to our next part. Alright, if there are no further questions, let's move on to our vocabulary section now. So, vocabulary section, first part, question 11. Multiple collection points are set up around the neighborhood for residents to dash drop off their recyclables. So the keyword is around the neighborhood. So we are looking at many places where the residents can do the same thing, which is for recycling. So looking at our options, the first one is woefully. Woefully here means you're trying to express misery or sorrow. You want to express sadness. Next, discreetly here means something is done in a very careful manner to avoid embarrassment. Okay. Third, impulsively means something is done without planning or consideration for others. Or this usually talks about how you never think about the consequence when you do something. Lastly, we have conveniently, which means that in a way that fits the needs of others. So in this case here, our answer would be number 4. Because when you talk about having multiple recycling bins, it fits the needs of your residents because they don't have to walk too far, and depending on where they live, they don't have to carry all their things to a centralized location. Alright? Now let's take a look at question 12. Everyone was stunned when the politician suddenly dashed in the middle of his speech and left the stage. So the idea is sudden, that something is sudden, that means we don't expect it to happen. And next is middle of the speech and left the stage. That means he suddenly stopped talking halfway through his speech. He suddenly don't want to continue speaking already. Alright, so with that in mind, let's take a look at some of the options given to us. So the first one we have is broke in. Broke in means that you interrupt when someone else is talking. Next, broke up. Broke up or break up means that you divide something to many pieces. Broke off from the speech means that you suddenly stop speaking. And last one, broke out means something a dangerous or unpleasant start. Alright, so you can see from this case, we are looking at how the politician suddenly stopped speaking. So the closest answer is number 3. Usually for broke out, you can say like a fight broke out among the different football fan clubs after the match, right? Broke up. For example, you could say that the teacher break the class up into various groups for discussion. Okay, broke in when someone is talking halfway, so you're looking at someone who is very rude. Okay, let's move on further. Let's take a look at question 13. So over here, it says, I was so embarrassed that I tried to dash out of the room before anyone could ask me about the terrible blunder I had made. So over here, we are looking at how the person trying to escape something, right? When you talk about out. And this is because he feels very embarrassed. You're trying to hide. That's the aspect of you don't want people to know about it or know about you and what you have done. So looking at our options, the first one is slink. Slink means move smoothly or quietly. Next is ramble. Ramble means talk in a confused way. Wander means that you move around aimlessly. That means you don't have any purpose. You're just like walking around here and there for fun without a reason. And meander refers to how something is winding. You are trying to follow a winding course. That means like there's left, right, then you're trying to follow this trail. It's called meander. Alright? So in this case here, when you talk about how you're trying to escape something, it needs to be done quietly. So the option 1 would be our answer. Okay, so you slink out. It's like you're trying to sneak out of somewhere like that. Alright? I hope everyone's catching up so far. And if you have any questions, do feel free to ask me in the comment section. Alright? Okay, let's take a look at question 14 now. The badminton players were so stressed by the dash standards laid down by their coach that they decided to call it quits. Okay, so for this question here, we are looking at standards, which are basically like the benchmark that someone is looking at to grade you, to evaluate you. And you can see that the standards must be quite high. That's why you can see that they decided to call it quits. That means they don't want to continue playing badminton with this coach. So looking at their options, the first one is exacting. So exacting means there's a great demand for your skill or your resources. Next is acceptable. Acceptable means something is being agreed upon, or you could say something is very suitable. Reasonable means something there is sound judgment. That means something is being discussed and talked about correctly. That's called reasonable. Okay, and conventional here means according to what is generally done. So what is generally accepted, that's called conventional. So in this case here, we are looking at some high standards. So high standards usually entail there's a lot of demand to have your good skills, to put in effort, and to put in that time and commitment. As such, our answer will be number 1. There are exacting standards or something. Alright? Okay, let's go on to question 15 now. The Botanic Garden offers a tranquil dash from the hustle and bustle of Singapore's city centre. So over here, we are looking at how this Botanic Garden is able to provide some kind of relief or some kind of like a change in the environment from the hustle and bustle. So you can see tranquil versus hustle and bustle. There's a contrast. Tranquil means very peaceful. Hustle and bustle means like very, very crowded, noisy, competitive, things like that. Alright, so in this case here, we're not looking at, let's look at the options. The first one is effect. Effect, which means there's a result of something. Alright. Delight means that you please somebody. Respite means a short period of relief. And distraction means you are preventing somebody from concentrating. Alright, so in this case here, the answer would be number 3, a respite, because you are looking at a relief. That means like it's like a period of time where you take yourself away from a particular situation and try to relax and recover your mind, your body, things like that. Alright? Okay, we have come to the end of this vocab section here. I'll just give everyone some time to take in the information before we move on to our next part. So if you get no further questions, let's move on to our vocabulary close now. Okay, so what will happen is as follows. I'll read through the text with everybody and we'll understand the words that are underlined. Once done, we'll take a look at the options and choose the most suitable. So the text reads, pigeon feeding is not allowed in Singapore, and feeders can be fined up to $10,000. Leftover food from feeding pigeons can attract pests like rats, which are likely disease carriers. Likely here means something might happen to be true. Not only do droppings dirty the environment, pigeons also pose health risk to humans. Pose here means present, or you could say it constitute a problem or danger. Alright, now moving on. Humans can contract diseases from the droppings of the diseased birds or carcasses through physical touch. So this physical touch here is related to the body. Okay, this could cause diseases to spread. In a recent attempt to keep residents safe from the health risk, attempt basically means you have put in effort to achieve something. Right? Yeah, they are the town council went the extra mile to stop unknown pigeon feeders, and the errant culprits feeding pigeons in the wee hours of the morning have done so despite repeated warnings. Repeated here means you do something several times. Alright. Okay, with that, we have come to the end of this short text. Now let's look at the options given to us. Question 16 first. We're looking at likely, which means something might happen to be true. Okay, so looking at our options, the first one is keen, which means that you are eager or you are very enthusiastic about something. Frequent means occur many times. Potential means there's a possibility of something. And impossible means something is not able to occur. Okay, so in this case here, okay, you see we are interested in something that might happen. So it's not 100% that something will take place, but there's a possibility something may occur. As such, our answer here would be number 3. Okay, the potential for something. Alright. Now looking at question 17. The pigeons may pose a health risk. So pose here means it may constitute, it may present a certain risk. Alright, so looking at some of the options given to us, the first one is take. Take means you lay hold of something. Next is reduce. Reduce means make you decrease the quantity of something, make something less. Okay. Next is present, which means something present, which means something is existing, something is taking place, right? Or you could say present could also mean it may cause something. Okay, so there are two ways to read, present or present. So this is the present. That means someone is present in class. That means he's here. But if we say that you may present a certain problem, it means it may cause a certain problem. All right. Lastly, encounter. Encounter means you are faced with problem unexpectedly. All right. So in this case here, you can see that they pose a health risk, and we have a direct synonym. So our option here would be number 3, but it's read as present a health risk. Okay, because you are causing this risk to happen. All right, moving on to question 18 now. We're looking at the physical touch. That means it's related to how there's some body contact. Okay, so the first one is contact. So the word contact here shows a physical touch. Okay, so this is our direct synonym for our question actually. Now, looking at the other options, the second one is connection. That means you are related to someone else. Thirdly, we have association, which refers to that kind of connection between people or organizations. Lastly, acquaintance, which means that a person you know slightly. So it's like not really that kind of very close friend. It's somebody you have seen or maybe met a few times only. Alright, so for this case here, because we are looking at the physical touch, the closest option will be number 1. Okay, I hope everyone's following so far. Alright, moving on, let's take a look at question 19. Recent attempt. Attempt means you have put in some effort to do something in order to achieve certain aims. Okay, so looking at our options, the first one is task. Task refers to work to be done. Alright, so it's like a responsibility, certain job scope. Now, effort here means that you are very determined in your attempt to do something. Okay, attempt is like you're putting in effort to achieve a certain goal. Survey here means that you're trying to examine something closely. An episode means a group of related events. Okay, so if we go back to our question, we're looking at the effort to achieve something. As such, our closest answer here will be number 2, the effort. Okay, so it's that kind of a trial to do something. You're trying something out. All right. Now let's take a look at question 20 now. 20 is repeated. That means something is done over and over again. So looking at the options, the first one is stern. Stern means something is very serious. Stern usually it goes along with warning. Then you're telling people not to do something again. Next is similar. Similar means something resembles, there's a resemblance in appearance or character, etc. Alright. Now, recurrent here means occur repeatedly. It happens a few times over and over again. And redundant means no longer needed. Alright, so in this case here, when we talk about repeated, that means occur several times, the closest answer is number 3 because of the idea of repeated. Alright, so I'll just give everyone some time to take in the information here before we move on to our next part. Alright, if there are no further questions, let's take a look at our grammar close now. Alright, plant proteins can be found in plants only, not from fish or animals. Dash plant proteins are mainly found in nuts, legumes, seeds and beans. Potatoes and some other vegetables contain protein too. So over here we're looking at how plant proteins may, even though they are only found, most of the plant protein comes from nuts, there are certain special vegetables that also contain protein. Okay, so you can see there's a bit of that kind of contrast here, because we are told that usually protein comes from nuts, but there's this kind of special case that can come from other vegetables. So we'll use the conjunction although here. Alright. Processed foods such as tempeh and tofu also contain proteins and are often used dash a substitute for meat. So you can see you're trying to use this. This is the role, so we always say as a substitute. Okay, these are made with soybeans, which boasts dash and 68 grams of protein per cup. So you can see and here, and there are two numbers, so this is a range. That means we are looking at how the protein mass lies from 22 to 68. So we will use between because of the word and. Okay, so if we use from, then it needs to be 2. So from 22 to 68 grams, then it will be accepted as well. Okay, so seitan is another, or seitan is another protein-packed processed food, which is made dash spiced with gluten. So you can see this is a sauce. So we'll say from somewhere. So it'll be F from. Alright. We can utilize plant proteins in many ways, all depending on which plant protein dash being featured. So you can see this is a singular subject, just one plant protein. Not forgetting can. Here this is in the present tense. So we'll say how it is being featured. Okay. For processed foods such as tofu, tempeh, and seitan, make sure to cook them with plenty of other flavors. Dash of these ingredients has much taste on their own, but they are great for soaking in sauces and spices. Plenty of flavors dash of these ingredients. So you can see, actually, I think there's a full stop here, and you are looking at how these few things do not have much taste. So they're telling you do not have much taste. Have this. So we'll say none of these ingredients have the taste, because they are only good in soaking up the sauces and spices. Alright, so the answer here will be none. So we are looking at how the different ingredients have uses in cooking. So we are looking, the text is telling you that the use of all these circled ingredients is not so much about enhancing that kind of taste. So you're not going to feel that the food is very tasty, very delicious because of all these ingredients. These ingredients will soak up the sauces and spices, so such that you will taste all the sauces and spices instead. Okay, so we are saying that none of these ingredients actually have much taste. Okay, now moving on. Individual vegetables, seeds and nuts and beans have more natural flavors. Dash, that does not mean they should be cooked well or paired with other ingredients and spices. So they already tell you that all the nuts have natural flavors, but they caution you that they should not be cooked well or paired with other ingredients. Okay, so there's that kind of contrast over here. Alright? So as such, we'll use H, however. I would say this text is slightly disadvantageous to most of our friends in primary school, right? Because unless you cook, it's very difficult to understand, appreciate the different words that are being used here, especially for cooking. Okay, but sometimes we don't have that kind of luxury and to choose our text, so we'll go with the flow and adapt. All right. So let's go on. Most of these work well, dash, soup, and stew. So you can see these are complementary dishes. So we'll work well with the if there's no with, then we'll use in. Okay, because you are adding the ingredients to the. So this is your soup, and you're adding your ingredients right here inside. All right. Seeds and nuts offer protein boost too, and can be sprinkled, dashed, or combined with just about any food. So you can see when you sprinkle something, sprinkle means it's like your pepper, you put it in powder form, and you can see where's the surface that you're sprinkling on. You're sprinkling on the food, right? So this is the surface. So we'll say you sprinkle on, okay. And lastly, we are looking at how many vegetables contain proteins. Corn, mushroom, yada yada. Any vegetable can be cooked, dash one's liking. So when you cook something, it needs to be related, the relationship of the cooking and your liking. That means you are cooking it so that you can eat. So you are happy with what you have cooked. So the answer here will be cooking, cooked to one's liking. All right. So when you combine everything, it'll be a fulfilling meal. Okay, we've come to the end of this grammar clause. I'll just give everyone some time to take in the information before we move on. Alright, let's go on to editing now. So it is difficult to determine exactly when face masks begin being used as a protective measure. One of the dash recorded face mask-like object in history dates back to the 6th century BC. So you can see, the here means I need a superlative form when I compare. So it will be the earliest. Alright. In China, during the Yuan dynasty, okay, dynasty is spelled wrongly, so this is a spelling error, please take note. A scarf woven with silk and gold threads is thought to be one of the first face masks. According to the 13th century travelogue, The Travels of Marco Polo, these scarves covered the mouths and noses of servants and were believed to stop the servant's breath, thus affecting the smell and taste of food served to the emperor. So you can see believe is also spelled wrongly. This is how you spell it. To stop the servant's breath, dash affecting. So you can see the source of the breath here may affect the smell and taste of food. So to highlight this source, we'll say from. Alright. One of the most prominent early uses of face mask-like objects was during the Black Death. Prominent is also spelled wrongly. Alright. Just please be very aware of this. This is quite a commonly tested word. The deadliest pandemic reported in human history. So this is how you spell pandemic. Okay, the Black Death spread like wildfire. Dash from this time 47 to 1351. So you're looking at how the death rate was the highest during a particular period of time. Right? So we will say it was peaking. In the 16th century, a French doctor invented a beak-like mask which was worn by doctors who traveled to towns to treat victims of the plague. Victims spelled wrongly. To ensure visibility, the bird-like beak mask dash glass in the eye sockets. So you can see the mask, this is plural. Okay, but don't forget this is in the 16th century, which is past tense. So it will be it featured. Okay. Perfume, scented spices, or medicines. Okay, this is spelling error again. Will be placed at the beak section to filter out the disease. In addition to the mask, these doctors wore a big doctor costume and carry a cane. Okay, so instead of drama, which is noun, we want to show and describe. So we need to change it to an adjective. So it will be a dramatic. Okay, and they could dash and direct patients without the need to make direct contact. So you can see, direct here is in present tense and plural. So when we have another word here, it needs to be of the same form. So it will be examine. Alright, and with that, we have come to the end of this section. I'll just leave this here for a bit. So if you have any questions, do feel free to ask me. Alright, if there are no further questions, let's move on to our synthesis and transformation. In our class of 40 students, Modu knows the most about spiders. So over here, we are looking at changing most from a comparative word to, not most, knows. So knows here is a verb, right? Mutu does research and reads up about spiders. But now we're going to change to a noun to show that he has a lot of this information. So you say he's the most knowledgeable. Okay, knowledgeable about spiders in our class of 40 students. Alright. Moving to question 67. Who is the boy at the playground? Sam asked me. So you can see, you are looking at a question and we need to change it to a sentence. And is needs to be changed to was. So Sam asked me who the boy at the playground was. Okay, so please be very aware. When it's who is something, because you're asking a question, that's why we will put the sentence in such a way. But if we are looking at this is a sentence, not a question. So if that's the case, who and was or who and is need to be split up. All right. Now let's take a look at question 68. The dessert will be served only after the guests have finished the main courses. So it is only after. So for this part here, it is only after. After what? Here, the guests have finished the main course. So we are trying to show a particular time period first. Right? So the time period is after they finish their main course. Then what will happen? We elaborate further. The dessert will be served. So it will be only after the guests finish the main course that the dessert will be served.